So appreciative of each and every one of you who has taken time out of your busy lives to be here tonight. I see a lot of familiar faces, but I also see a lot of you who I have not yet had the opportunity to meet and spend time with. So I look forward to telling you a little bit about me tonight and what I believe in and what we need to accomplish in Washington. But the purpose of a town hall, the purpose of tonight, the reason that these meetings are so important is because I am tired, as I'm sure many of you, of having congressmen and women who are lecturing us on what they think we need. And what's important, and I think what this best represents, is an opportunity to listen to you, to hear what's on your heart and what's on your mind, and how we can get our country back on track. It's always a pleasure to be in Dothan, and I'm very thankful that the library allowed for us to meet here tonight, so thank you for that. Again, thank you to each of you for taking the time to be here. Before we get started on our discussion, because I want to use most of our time listening to you, I do want to share with you a couple of points about where I stand and the issues that we've identified over the course of the past year as I've traveled throughout the district, and what I see as being real potential solutions to getting our country back on track. 4 things. Jobs. We need to unleash the private sector so that we can put money back into the hands who have the ability to create jobs. We need a smaller, leaner, more limited government. Washington is broken. We need to fix it. When I'm talking about transparency and accountability and restoring the public's trust. And lastly, we need a stronger America, both at home and abroad. When it comes to what leadership is, what we want out of our congressmen and women fighting for us in Washington, we need folks who can not only identify what the problems are, but they can also offer solutions. When I talk about unleashing the private sector's ability to create jobs, I am talking about the fact that we need to get money back into the hands of those who do have the ability. And this job-killing legislation coming out of Washington right now is creating so much uncertainty that even those that have the ability to create jobs are fearful to do so because they don't know how the federal government is going to punish them. I just want to point out a couple of important figures. President Obama promised that he would save or create 2.5 million jobs by 2011. The reality, in Alabama, we have lost 90,180 jobs since January of 2009. The federal government doesn't create jobs. The private sector creates jobs. And clearly what is happening in Washington and Washington's plan is not working. They passed another $26 billion stimulus just today. That's more money that's taken out of your hands and is used to grow the federal government and not jobs right here in Alabama's 2nd District. I've worked hard since I've been on the Montgomery City Council to work with businesses, to stand up with businesses against tax increases. Again, putting that money back in their hands so that they can create jobs. We need a smaller, more limited, leaner government. We have watched as Washington has become more and more addicted to spending over the course of the past year and a half. President Obama promised that he would hold earmarks to less than $7.8 billion a year, the level that we were at before 1994. The reality, in 2010, earmarking increased again to $15.9 billion. We need earmark reform. We need individuals representing us in Congress that are willing to stand up to this increase in spending. When we talk about job-killing legislation, we talk about health care, we talk about cap and trade that are stifling the creation of jobs, but also increasing our debt right here in the United States. We continue to spend and spend. We are mortgaging away my children and my children's children's future, which is the very reason why we decided to run for Congress in the first place. We need a balanced budget. We need line item veto. We need to make sure that the 2001-2003 tax cuts are made permanent for all Americans. A smaller, leaner government is what's going to help get this country back on track. And I'll just point you again to my record on the City Council. We in Montgomery, like many communities throughout the state and throughout this nation, are struggling and faced a zero balance in our rainy day fund when we went to go create the budget, when the mayor went to go create the budget last year. I'm happy to say that I supported a budget where we cut $9 million in spending. We put $3 million back into the reserve, and we did it all without raising one single tax. That takes guts. And we all talk about cut spending, cut spending, cut spending until you cut me. That's where it takes individuals who are tough enough and willing to stand up and say what the proper role of government is, what the proper role of spending our federal tax dollars is, and we don't have a Congress that is doing that now. Washington is broken, and we have got to fix it. I tell people all the time, nobody quite understands transparency and accountability like a city councilwoman with her home telephone number in the phone book. and it is true. But what that equates to is understanding that when you elect someone to fight for you, not just to vote right, but to fight for you, you want to know that that person is available to hear what's on your mind, what your perspective is, what your position is. How is this going to affect you in your everyday life? And you need a representative that not only understands that, but is willing to be available to you, which again is the purpose of tonight's meeting, and I thank you for being here. We need a stronger America, both at home and abroad. I believe in the sanctity of life. I believe in the protection of the Second Amendment. And I believe in the central role of faith and family in our lives. And when we have someone advocating on our behalf, fighting for us on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives, we want someone who shares our conservative values and beliefs. We have two of the finest military installations in the world right here in Alabama's 2nd District with Maxwell Gunter and, of course, Fort Rucker. And they are the tip of the spear in our nation's warfighting machine. And we not only need to advocate on behalf of those two bases, we need to fight to ensure that we continue to expand their missions and that we support our military families both abroad and here, right here at home. We're not currently under any threat of BRAC, but I will tell you, if Washington continues to be as addicted to spending as they are now, it's right around the corner. And so your elected representative in Congress, you need to feel confidence in, is willing to fight very, very hard and diligently to protect our bases. We recently formed a Veterans Advisory Committee made up of individuals who have served in all different branches of our military and from all different ranks who I continue to have conversations with and learn from about what the issues are currently facing our military and our military families. And it's my hope that we can continue to have this conversation throughout this campaign and, God willing, after November 2nd. Thank you again. This election cycle is so very crucial to this country in the direction that we are going. And the bottom line is, it's about numbers. It's about electing conservative Republicans so we can get back the majority and start getting this country back on track. Your very first vote in Congress is the most important when you cast that vote for who the leadership is going to be. And our congressman voted for Nancy Pelosi for Speaker of the House. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter how he votes any other time, because by electing her as Speaker of the House, she has set the course, and his vote isn't needed. And I have vowed that my very first vote in Congress will be to take the gavel away from Nancy Pelosi so we can restore conservative